goes for his 9th consecutive pole on a road or street course. And pole position is where he'll want to start in order to reel in championship points from Dario Franchitti. And we welcome you back to City Center Airport in downtown Edmonton, Alberta. And we are underway with qualifying. The clock has started. 3 rounds, 2 groups in round 1, 12 carts each. Fastest 6 in each to round number 2. Then the Firestone Fast 6, round 3, to determine the lineup for tomorrow's Edmonton Indy. Now, it rained all day yesterday, hard. All track activity was rained out. And we've had mostly sunny skies until about an hour and a half ago. And now it's 63 with a southwesterly wind at 16. Cloudy skies. It did sprinkle during the Firestone Indy Lights race that you saw earlier here on Versus. But right now the rain is not falling, but the clouds look very, very ominous. Underway with qualifying. But before we get to track activity, let's take a look specifically at the track they'll be competing on. Jan?
And Bob, of course, there's been a big change at the Edmonton City Center Airport. This is the layout from last year. You can see very fast, sweeping, high-speed corners. Look at this year's layout. Very long straightaway, but extremely tight corners. That gives some heavy braking zones and some passing opportunities. First one in turn number 1. Then up to 160 miles an hour. You jump on the brakes for turn 5. That's 38 miles an hour in first gear. Couple of second, third gear corners. That's a little bit of the old section of the racetrack. Then after turn 12, you're back up to nearly 160. Back down hard onto another hairpin. That's turn 13, 36 miles an hour. Then to 170. Big changes in speed and heavy braking.
It's an exciting racetrack that they'll be competing on here this weekend. Wally Donovac is in the booth. We'll hear from him in just a moment. First of all, let's check in with our pit reporters. First of all, here's Kevin Lee.
Thank you, Bob. Certainly one of the stories we're following this weekend is Will Power, his rivalry with Dario Franchitti. We know what happened a couple of weeks ago at Toronto. Will Power feels like that was something that Franchitti could have avoided. He's very clear that he feels like it was Franchitti's fault. Dario does not simply see it that way. They have not spoken. Franchitti reached out to try to speak in between races. Will wasn't really interested in that, and Power said this weekend they really haven't even made any eye contact at this point. The anger has settled, but his feelings about who was at fault has not changed. All of that said, he's moved on. He just simply wants a clean race and said, if somebody doesn't hit me, I feel like we're going to have a good result. But the weekend has not gone perfectly for Will Power. Already some contact in practice here earlier today. This was with Anna Beatrice coming down into a corner, and he said, really, this was my fault. I was simply looking to grab a gear and didn't see her there, and I'm going to go down and apologize to her. Car's pretty good. Power has an opportunity to win a pole for the 9th consecutive time outside of an oval. He says the Reds are going to be much quicker. Let's check in now with Robbie Floyd.
Well, Justin Wilson in the Z-Line Designs 22 about to take off here in just a moment. He's one of only 2 drivers to actually have raced all 6 Edmonton races in kart as well as IndyCar, Paul Tracy being the other one. Now, Justin has experience. He won here back in 2006, but boy, has it changed like Jan had talked about, especially with the track configuration. You're going over old parts of the course and, of course, new parts, and the asphalt is totally different. The old part being smooth, slippery, almost like you put a bumper on it. The new part is coarse. You're getting a lot of grip, so he's going to be guessing there, but he's also been guessing about the braking. Even in the same corner, one time he might lock up the fronts, the next lap, he might lock up the rears, Lindy.
Tony Kanaan is guessing, too. Although TK hasn't really had too much luck here. He's thinking, new circuit, new team, this may just be what I need. What he needs is grip, while his teammates have been running top 3 in practice. He's been all the way down at 18th. He's had no traction anywhere. They think that could have been an issue with second gear. The crew's been busy since practice. They re-geared it. They changed the brakes. They've changed the dampers. They also took some of what's working on Sato's car and applied it to TK's, but of course, they're not going to know if any of that worked until now.
All right, with Qualifying underway in round number 1. Remember, it's knockout qualifying. And Wally, you haven't been with us for a while during this qualifying session.
I haven't, but I've been paying attention.
I hope you have. Here's some drivers in group number 1. James Hinchcliffe, one of the Canadian drivers, is in this round of qualifying. There are 12 cars in this round. And there are the others that will be out there in just a few moments in this first 15-minute session. Here is Ryan Hunter-Reay. Only a couple of drivers have turned in a speed and time so far, namely Anna Beatrice and Marco Andretti. At the top of your screen, you see the green, meaning the car is on the track.
This will be the driver's first opportunity to get a feel of the red sidewalled alternates. You don't want to run those in practice. You want to save them for qualifying. Ryan Hunter-Reay just kind of taking his time. You want to build tire temperature and pressure slowly, Wally.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of room in front of him, which is good too. You also, as you're bringing those tires up temperature, you want to make sure you've got enough space in between you and the next guy to try to put in a hard lap without being blocked or have anything slow you down.
He just passed the timing line right coming off of turn 13 where you see Anna Beatrice in the background. That is where you'll, in this case, he started and finished a lap and you can still make it on to pit road. Typically what they do in qualifying. So I still think that Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to have a bit more time to build those temperatures and pressures, but that would have been the start of his lap.
And while we have an opportunity, by the way, there are 13 cars in each group, 26 total here at Edmonton this weekend. While we have the opportunity, here's Robin Miller.
Bob, you went to college. 13 and 13 is 26. That's why you're the anchor, brother.
I was never good at math, you know.
Well, I know that. Hey, I was talking to Sebastian Bourdais and Justin Wilson. I said, what do you guys think of the track? And they said, to be honest, we missed the old layout because it was faster. It was more flowing corners. It just seemed like more of a road racer's track. But Bourdais said one interesting thing. He goes, I can tell you one thing. He goes, I'm not sure how much fun it's going to be to drive. He goes, but the people watching on TV ought to have fun because it's going to be insane. I said, that's what we want to hear for ratings.
Well, it does look like an interesting course. Oh, Anna Beatrice a little sideways there. As the car headed back in the right direction. She's the fastest so far of the 8 who have been out there and turned in a time. And as Jan indicated just a second ago, the timing line is right off of corner 13 just before they enter pit road.
And she has...
Okay, just stay there. Go come to you.
There's the timing line you're talking about, Bob. And I can give you a little perspective there, right across there.
Oh, nice straight line.
That's built into the telestrator,
okay.
Bob. That wasn't freehand. But Anna Beatrice obviously had power when she spun it around, went to put it back into first gear, has lost power, so she is... They haven't gone full course yet. They may
be coming to you.
That's Robbie Buell, and now it is for full course yellow.
Yep. So Anna Beatrice, who was 23rd overall in practice earlier today, is going to lose her time. The fastest during the practice period was Takuma Sato, and he turned in that fastest lap right at the end of the second practice session earlier today. So Anna Beatrice remains stalled on the racetrack and will have to get a tow back to the pit area or a start. We're on board with Will Power, who is looking for his 9th consecutive pole position. He has won 8 in a row. That goes back to last year.
Will Power would seem to be the guy to beat coming into any road or street course.
Here, he may go to the top of the order if he doesn't.
And he did it. Will Power wins another pole position. And here he is once again at the top.
How you demoralize the enemy.
Will Power traditionally has a way of closing laps.
Boy, Will Power for the 5th time this season will be on pole. A pole position for car number 12.
IZOD IndyCar qualifying on Versus is presented by Peak Performance Products. When you peak, you win. And by IZOD, the official apparel of the IZOD IndyCar Series, available at Macy's.
Really disappointed in Dario. I always race him clean, and he always races me dirty.
If he's pissed off, he's quite right to be pissed off there.
Yeah, so disappointed in that guy. And he's the one who complains about everything, whinges about everyone, and he's twice done me dirty on the track. Does anyone ever penalize this guy?
He's pissed off right now, and he's going to be coming hard.
Tempers flaring just a little bit at Toronto, but we're now in Edmonton, and Will Power currently is 9th fastest, and we have less than, just a little more than 1 minute remaining, so you got to get into the top 6 to transfer. Will Power now shown in 11th. Kevin.
And they had to work a little bit to gap themselves, and that's something you shouldn't have to do if you're the first pit stall. When it went back green, they should have been the first out, but they misfired the car, didn't get it fired at the time they wanted. Tim Cindric said, come on, we've got to be better than that. We are the first pit stall. We've got to be the first out. But apparently, he found some space, so Power goes from 9th up to the top of the chart, so he should be safe to get to group number 2.
He's the fastest in this session. Tony Kanaan second right now, then Ryan Hunter-Reay, Tagliani, Hinchcliffe, and Ryan Briscoe, the 6th. Looking to get in, Oriol Servia, Graham Rahal, and Marco Andretti, the winner at Iowa a few weeks ago. On board still with Will Power.
And this is faster, Bob. This is a 10th faster on the early part of the racetrack, but he said that turn 9, 10, 11, 12 is where he's been losing. He has great split times, and here, after the pavement change, he has some trouble.
Since the beginning of the 2009 season, we started driving for Penske. Power's average starting position on street and road courses, 1.6. Servia is in
for now.
Second quick, yeah.
Look at Ryan Hunter-Reay has gone to the top.
Checkered flag is out, but that doesn't mean that qualifying is over, because all these cars on track will have an opportunity to complete their lap. Power currently 3rd. Here he comes off of turn 13, taking the checkered flag, and he went to the top. Yep. Dropping Ryan Hunter-Reay down to 2nd, then Servia, Kanaan, Briscoe, Rahal.
Now keep an eye, if we can, on Hinchcliffe. He still has a good lap going. He's already... No, he's not in a transfer spot, but he has a lap, and he does it. He goes up to 3rd.
How about that? James Hinchcliffe, one of the Canadians, is currently 3rd.
Wow. That's what happens when Anna Beatrice brings out a caution. All of a sudden, this thing gets... Okay, you got 2 laps.
Sense of urgency. Yeah.
Get it done.
So Power ends up being the fastest. Ryan Hunter-Reay will transfer into group number 2. Then Hinchcliffe, Servia, Tony Kanaan is 5th fastest in the session, and Ryan Briscoe is 6th. Those who did not make it: Rahal, Wilson, Tagliani, Andretti, Beatrice, Kimball, and Paul Tracy. So here are the drivers who advance from group number 1, round 1, into round number 2, coming up in just a few moments. And coming up in group number 2, round number 1, includes Dario Franchitti, the current points leader, also Scott Dixon, and also in the group coming up, Elio Castroneves. Stay with us for more knockout qualifying from Edmonton. City Center Airport, Edmonton, Alberta. Peak performance knockout qualifying for the IZOD IndyCar Series. And Group 2, Round 1 on the racetrack. Here are the 13 that are in this group. They include Franchitti, Dixon, Viso, and Castroneves. E.J. Viso was 3rd fastest overall in the practice earlier today. And here are the others that will be out during this session. They include Mike Conway, the winner of the race in Long Beach. Here is Kevin Lee.
Well, Dario Franchitti, as he gets set to go out, we've talked about his contact with Will Power last week, and we relayed power side of it, he still feels like it was fully Dario Franchitti's fault. Franchitti feels like it should at least be shared and points out that he thinks there was room for Power to be able to stay wide in that incident. Regardless, he goes from 20 points up to 55 up in the championship with now 4 wins, and he's got a good opportunity this weekend. Second in the practice session this morning. Says the track has changed quite a bit. It's going to be tough to be consistent, and one mistake leads to other mistakes and messes up an entire lap. Robbie?
Well, who can forget last year, 2010 Edmonton, I got to interview Helio Castroneves. It looked like he'd won the race. He was black flagged due to a blocking penalty. His own teammate he was deemed to have blocked, and I can promise you that Helio Castroneves, even though he was scored in 10th place, believes that he won that race last year. Now you see it. He's holding his line, but he was holding the wrong line, the inside line. We've seen a lot of instances this year where we've had passes on the inside just because of that reason. You cannot go inside and block someone. Well, he got into Rockets here. He got into the flagman's here. Then he got into Charles, the security guys here. He was very impassioned, irate, but it just shows you how much Helio Castroneves loves this sport, loves his team. He felt like that he should have won. And earlier this week, he actually said he's coming back to Edmonton to defend his race win of last year, and he'd like to turn things around with a good finish here, Lindy.
And with the season EJ Viso has had, who would have thought he'd be a front runner in this qualifying session? But he is. He's been consistent in both the practice sessions, running 6th and 3rd. His teammate, Takuma Sato, who just took off out of the pits, he set the fastest lap in the final practice session. A good day for both of them. EJ actually has the highest starting position of any of the 3KB teammates here at all. He started 8th last year, as has been happening ever since Indy. When TK went first, he got out of the car, came over and talked to both his fellow drivers, giving them suggestions for when they go out and take their turn. EJ's engineer, by the way, has told him the only thing from keeping him at the top is he needs to be better around those newest sections of the track. They told him to work on that. Sato, as we know, loves these road and street courses. Bob, we'll see how they do.
We shall see. Right now, Simona De Silvestro and James Jakes, the only 2 to turn in a speed so far.
So, Bob, if your engineer tells you to be better on the new sections of the track is 90% new.
I was going to say, that's pretty much all of it.
That's not good.
That is true.
Well, we'll see what EJ Viso can do in this qualifying session, and we'll do that when we come back with more peak performance qualifying at Edmonton.
A common misunderstanding that people have, for me, it's they think I'm acting. I'm not, trust me. For those that they don't know me, I'm an emotional person, and that goes for both ways, you know. Sometimes, hopefully most of the times in a good way, winning races and express my feelings. Unfortunately, there is times that I can't compose myself and I show in a bad way, which is tough. I'm a human being. Try to work it out a little bit better to compose in the bad way, but it always depends, you know. I'm a human being, so mistakes happen.
The emotion from Helio last year here at Edmonton, and currently he is smoking him up. Wow. Oh, and he missed the corner.
Not the first time for him today. He's had a lot of trouble.
Somebody follow him through.
James Jakes.
Jakes did the same thing, yeah.
So less than 6 minutes to go, and he is currently the slowest 13th in this group. And Robbie Floyd is with James Hinchcliffe.
At the Sprott 06, it was a close call on the outside looking in on that last lap. What happened?
Yeah, you know, I came around and they told me that the number I had to hit on that last lap to make it in, and then coming out of turn 9, I tapped the wall pretty hard, the left side tires, and still had about half the lap to go. So it was a nerve-wracking second half of the lap, but, you know, it was a great car. You know, good job to the boys. We luckily snuck in there.
See them checking on the car. Is everything straight and square?
Yeah, they tell me everything was fine. Just, you know, maybe a bit of damage to the rim, but toes and everything look good. So strap on another set of Firehawks and see what we can do in the next qualifying.
Good luck in round 2.
Thanks a lot.
James Hinchcliffe from Toronto, Ontario, and we're still following Helio Castroneves as this is the lap on which he missed the corner, so this won't be a good one.
And you can see SAT up there. That's Sato, fastest right now, just went to the top above Viso. So the 2 KB teammates, 1-2 at the moment.
You've got 4 more laps. 4 more laps. T1 is at 78.40.
That is from Takuma Sato, the fastest. Dixon is 3rd, and Vitor Meira, Simona De Silvestro, and Dario Franchitti. And there is the A.J. Foyt-owned car driven by Vitor Meira.
Earlier today, he was sliding and pitching.
That's the P1. You got 3 laps to go. Keep hustling.
And the reason they say how many laps to go, that's how much fuel you have. That's not necessarily the time. They give you only enough fuel to keep it light to get your fastest lap done.
Franchitti currently 6th fastest.
Takuma Sato is actually improving on his time.
Wow.
He's got great splits going. And Dario is not there yet. I think Dario is waiting to get the temperatures and pressures up, being a little bit patient before he really gets on it. He's coming up to 13, which would be, for him, I would guess, the start of what would be his hot lap. Coming off this corner, we'll see the timeline and the cone up on the fence.
We only have time for maybe 2 more, maybe 3 more laps, but 2 laps for sure.
Here's Sato. His best start here in Edmonton was last year. He started 13th. Had 1 pole, of course, not too long ago in Iowa. Lindy?
And this is where Sato and Vizo expected they'd be, and they expect they're going to make it out of this round. I found out what TK told to them when he came over and met with them. The 3 of them had met before and talked turn by turn about how the cars felt. He came over and told them the changes based turn by turn on the weather now, and that's the information that he gave them, Bob.
Okay, thanks, Lindy. Franchitti moves up to 2nd quick, as you see at the top of your screen, knocking his Target Chip Ganassi teammate Scott Dixon back to 3rd.
Now, you may have seen Sato had a moment, so this is not going to be a good one for him this lap, but he's still got an opportunity to get another one. But behind, Dario Franchitti has a pretty good lap. He may not have the splits he needs to go to the top, but he's already in 2nd. Watch him come off.
He did not advance, so he is still in 2nd.
His teammate, however, Scott Dixon, has a good lap going, and he, at the moment, might, if he keeps these splits going, could get in front of Franchitti.
He's off corner number 13. We have just a little less than 2 minutes to go in this round 1, Group 2.
Two laps.
Oh, and he's gapping.
Hold off, yeah. We'll give it 1 more run.
Now, Takuma Sato has not given up. He has great splits. These are the best splits that he has had all day for Sato. He's already on the top.
And a car looks like spun around. That's by Conway. He keeps going. Conway is currently the slowest, 13th.
Dario's close. He's very close to Sato as he comes off the final corner. Still a little bit short. Again, this is just a transfer. If you miss it by a little bit here, there's no real penalty.
Driver looking to get into the top 6 is Simona De Silvestro. Also, Danica Patrick, Sebastian Bourdais, Hildebrand, Jake Saavedra, and Conway. Bourdais moves up a spot, but not into the top 6, as Vitor Meira still has that position here with about a half a minute remaining.
Scanning through that group you just listed, Bob, of those who might. Sebastian Bourdais is the closest now. He's just on the outside looking in at a 7th with his splits. So if he can save himself, shave a little more time, he might transfer his way in.
Checkered flag is about to be waved. This will be the final lap for Dario. Sato's already in the pits. Here's the checkered flag for Franchitti. And here is Scott Dixon, who is currently 3rd. It's got a few corners to go. That's turn number 12. All the way down a long
And Sebastian
straightaway.
just did it. You saw it turn green on the top of the screen. Sebastian Bourdais just bumped himself into the top 6.
Danica is finished, so is Scott Dixon. Bourdais is 6th.
Good job.
Knocking Vitor Mira back to 7th and out of the next round. Sato's time here in Group 2 faster than Will Power in Group number 1. Sato had a 78.154 and Power had a 78.196. So there is the fastest so far here this afternoon in qualifying, considering both groups. Let's take a look at Scott Dixon coming off the final corner.
Yeah, this is a good example of where you need the mechanical grip, and he's got the left front locked up, so, and that kind of pushed him offline right there.
And Danica ahead of him had the same trouble. She was way off of the apex. Not much grip there.
Here are the drivers who advanced to round number 2 from Group 2, round 1. Takuma Sato, Franchitti, Dixon, Biso, Castroneves, and Sebastian Bourdais in a late session run. Takuma Sato, the fastest of all as we go to round number 2. Stay with us.
My biggest pet peeve, there's a few people who sit in the overtaking lane just like cruising along and blocking the whole thing out.
Just a slow driver on the left lane on the interstate blocking all traffic.
Drivers that get on the freeway and go straight to the left lane, no matter what speed they're doing. Can't stand it. Slow cars in the fast lane. You know, I don't get that. Just, you got to get out of the way.
People driving slow in the fast lane. It's sort of bad drivers in general, and it's not because on the road I think I'm some phenomenal driver, but I think I'm competent, and I think there's a lot of people that are not, and it drives me nuts.
Sounds like it's almost unanimous, huh? Slow drivers in the left lane. Here are the drivers who will be competing in round number 2. Will Power was fastest in the first group. And fastest in the second group, Takuma Sato, who was actually fastest overall. So there are the 12 drivers who go to round number 2, and it is already underway. It is a 10-minute session. Here's the grid from 13 on back to 26. Starting in the 13th position is going to be Graham Rahal, and he missed the fast 12 by 76 one-thousandths of a second. Former winner of this race, Justin Wilson, will be starting back in 15th position. And there you see the rest of the field as it will go for the green flag tomorrow afternoon here at City Center Airport. Lindy.
Well, Bob, as you can imagine, Takuma Sato is very happy, does not want any changes made on this car. As for TK, the changing of the gears seemed to work. However, they are going to lower 2 flaps, just try to get a little bit more grip. As for EJ, his setup is staying the same, but just for the record, guys up there in the booth, I checked on the new parts. Yes, that was 90% of the track that they want him to improve on. Over to you, Kevin.
Oriol Servia advances to round number 2. He was 4th quick in his group. He actually benefited from his teammate, James Hinchcliffe, being fastest in the morning practice session. That means that Hinchcliffe got to choose whether they wanted Group 1 or Group 2. Most of the time, drivers have been choosing Group 2, but they wanted Group 1 so that if they did advance, they had time to make changes in session 2. Servia goes out now. They did make some changes. Bruno Capri here on the stand is their engineer, and he loves the opportunity to go to a new racetrack because he says it's a science, and he feels like that they're going to have a good opportunity this weekend, Robbie.
Well, unfortunately, the opportunity is gone for Justin Wilson making it into the Firestone Fast 6. What happened out there? Did you just run out of time?
Yeah, basically, we waited, trying to do all our laps right at the end, and obviously the yellow really disrupted that, so we only did 4 laps. We were planning on doing 7 if everything had been right, and you know, 4 laps over 2 runs is just not enough to get the tire temperature up. With that temperature comes grip, and we're just the car feels really good, but just not enough grip, not enough heat generated.
People at home are probably wondering, you had 4 laps, why couldn't you do it? What's the car like different but having that tire temp and not?
Well, it's I mean, I don't know how you describe that. It's just that grip. As you get off the brakes, you go into the corner, the car grips and turns. When you don't have that tire temp, you just keep sliding. You slide past the corner, you can't get the car turned, and you're late back to power.
So a lot of that has to do with the grip, the adhesion in the tires, also the height, as Jan always talks about, a little bottoming out there. Unfortunately, Justin Wilson going to have to start in 15th tomorrow.
And Robbie, to add insult to injury, it was his teammate, Anna Beatrice, that brought out the yellow that didn't give him the opportunity to get those laps in. So,
and you know, I wonder how far you go with, you know, trimming these things up. These straightaways are pretty long, and there's got to be kind of a, you know, a balance there on, especially when you're getting down to this stuff, is taking a little wing or something out of it to get that extra mile per hour or so down those straightaways. That comes up big on a watch.
And you will see it big time for the race. I think now you want enough downforce. Tony Kanaan's giving us a good example. These are the mid-speed corners where you want some downforce, especially when it's that bumpy. Come race time, absolutely. Take some of that downforce out so you can make passes on the straightaway. You're going 170 down the straightaway. You have to go in some places down to 36. At 36 miles an hour, you're not making much downforce anyway. Why not take it off?
Yep. 5 minutes left.
Elio Castroneves, the quickest, as you see at the top of your screen, followed by Briscoe. Sebastian Bourdais moves up to third. Sebastian is a former winner here. In fact, he won the race twice and was on the pole here in Champ Car in 2006. Now Tony Kanaan moves to the top of the chart. And now Franchitti does. and now Sato.
Well, they're going to stay together. We'll see if that continues to flip-flop in that manner.
Sato ran at 18.7 there. His fast lap was, what, 18.1? Yep.
That's a good start.
And Powers and Sato's time were very close. They were in different sessions, but they were almost exact.
In this Fast 12, all three Penske cars are involved, all three from KV Racing Technology, including Sato, both Ganassis, both Newman Haas, one Andretti, and one Dale Coyne. Robin Miller.
You know something, Bobby? KV Racing doesn't have many results this year. They haven't won a race. Kanaan was probably going to win a race, and he crashed in Milwaukee, but they've had the three of the fastest cars every weekend. Doesn't matter if it's road courses, street courses, ovals. They got nothing to show for it. Their engineers are doing a good job. The mechanics do a good job in the pits. So if any team needs to have a good weekend and some good results, it's Viso and Sato. And I think they've always been fast. They just can't get it to the end. So I think this is a pretty crucial weekend, I'd say, for these guys. And maybe if they're going to be around next year with this team.
So, Robin, which one of the three do you think will be the first winner for KV?
Well, I think it'd be Kanaan, but Sato, Bobby, when Sato was in Formula One, he was always fast, but he crashed a lot, and he's done the same thing here. So he's just got to figure out a way to get the thing to the end of the race. He's got a shot to win.
But, you know, these guys have looked better as a race team as the year has gone on. They seem like they're just getting further and further, better and better every single week. So that, at least they're moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. I just think that when you've got as many good race cars as they've had, sooner or later, you better get some results.
And right now, Takuma Sato is second behind Franchitti. Make that third behind Power and Franchitti as the positions change by the moment. On board with Scott Dixon here.
Dixon's up to the top.
Just moved to the top. So Dixon now is quickest. Power second, Franchitti, Sato, Viso to fifth, and Ryan Hunter-Ray is sixth. Elio Castroneves is on the outside looking in. But still over 2 minutes to go in this round two. Oh, missed the corner.
I think that's like the second time he's done that.
We have just seen that so many times today in practice and in qualifying.
And Will Power told me that going down into turn one, the front...
First 5 cars are within a tenth of each other.
So giving him an update on what he needs to do. But he was saying, Will Power, that he had lockup of the fronts into turn number 1, but then into 5 and 13, it was the rears, because you can see the pavement is different in those two areas.
And that's hard to balance. when the fronts are doing, when you have too much front brake on one part of the racetrack and too much rear on the other.
Will Power advances. He's quick.
Speaking of braking, we have something new this weekend. That's PSI. Watch the kind of pressure. It should shoot up, Wally, in the 1,000 PSI range when he really hammers it.
Yeah, we were watching that earlier. I saw as high as 1,100 in some places on this racetrack. And you see, he wasn't on very long, was he?
No.
78.7 for next P7. P7 is a 78.7 right now.
Now that, you can tell.
Is he on a hard lap right now?
He just backed off.
Okay.
And I think the key was you saw 400 PSI versus 1,100. It's like, okay, I'm backing off.
You got 2 cars behind you.
Tim Cindric talking to him on the radio. Looking for a gap. He'll have on his steering wheel, he knows what his splits are, and if he didn't like the first couple corners, you'd back off, and now he's going to start to get the car sped up. He's going to let somebody go by here. Hinchcliffe.
Nice wide track here. Part of the racetrack is runway.
Your tires off here.
You see Ryan Hunter-Ray is 7th currently. E.J. Viso holds down the 6th spot.
Got offline a little bit there, letting those guys by, and we see him trying to clean the tires off before he's got to put the hammer down.
And the session is just about over. There it is. Ryan Hunter-Ray right behind Oriol Servia.
Now, Ryan Hunter-Ray had good splits until he caught up here to Oriol Servia.
And he is 7th, so likely will not get into the top 6, Kevin.
And he thought he had a quicker lap. He just screamed into his radio about 20 seconds ago. I got held up on that lap.
Oh, you brake checked him, Kevin.
He was just showing Servia that he's not very happy with that whole situation.
Servia was 8th, and he's not going to advance either.
Wow, sorry to interrupt you there, Kevin. He was so ticked off, but he pulled over, got right in front of him, slammed the brakes on. What we call a brake check.
Wow. I mean, you know, Servia got out of his way. Maybe he didn't think he got out of his way fast enough. Hey, it's the end of the session. You've got to go.
Yep. Well, let's see what we have here. Will Power, Franchitti, Dixon, Sato, Briscoe, and Viso are the drivers who are going to advance. Couple of cars still on the racetrack, including Elio.
Uh-oh, they're pitted together, too. That may not be good.
Okay, now the session is complete. Elio Castroneves does not make it.
Yeah, he's going right over there to have a discussion with him.
Yeah.
This will be interesting.
What am I going to do? Disappear? It's too much. Sorry. You know, if I can, it might qualify too. I have 2 minutes to go. Hey, you already threw it away. Well, that's why I moved. When I threw it away, I moved. Right. You threw it away the lap before that, too. But I knew he was tight. He was going to lap after it, Ryan. I'm sorry, man.
See, I think what Ryan was, when he says threw it away, he was probably following Servia, and Servia blew a corner, or what he thought blew his lap. When he said threw it away, that's when he felt Servia should have let him go because he saw Hunter-Ray coming.
At this point, Ryan Hunter-Ray has already lost. He already knows on his steering wheel. Yes, sir, Servia pulled over, but at this point, he's like trying to make his point. Is Ryan Hunter-Ray saying, you just killed my chance of qualifying and moving ahead.
Which I think he did a good job at making his point.
Yeah, he did. Both on the track and off.
So neither Ryan Hunter-Ray nor Oriol Servia advance, Kevin.
Ryan, can we get you? Yeah.
Ryan Hunter-Ray is with us now. Ryan, tell us about the issue with Oriol.
Well, everybody's aware of their gaps out there. What type of racetrack you're running around, and he threw 3 laps away. He was completely out to lunch, and professional thing to do. What the guys up front, what we usually do with, like Oriol, usually moves out of the way when you throw a lap away. When you've lost the rear of the car somewhere and you've thrown it away, that's what he usually does. I don't know what the deal was. I felt like that was very, very much intentional. I mean, we had a had some good laps going there. But
what was his response to when you talked to him?
He said there wasn't much time. There was a huge gap behind me, and he kept coming back to me, you know, because he was making mistakes. So I don't know. The race is tomorrow, so it's all right. It's fine. We're starting 7th. That's just the thing. We were just so close to making the top 6. I think we could have got in there, but it is what it is. It's all part of the product, so we'll go out and have fun tomorrow.
All right, trying to get a second straight podium. Hunter-Reay coming off a good result at Toronto 2 weeks ago.
And Ryan missed, transferring to the Fast 6 by 66 one-thousandths of a second. Will Power ended up as the fastest in round number 2, so he will transfer to the Firestone Fast 6. So will Dario, Dixon, Sato, Briscoe, and Viso. So words exchanged on pit lane between Ryan Hunter-Reay and Oriol Servia. It started already here at Edmonton.
Welcome back to Edmonton as we're set for the Firestone Fast 6. One of those that did not make it, Oriol Servia. We just heard from Ryan Hunter-Reay a moment ago. In the last segment, Oriol finishes 8th in the qualifying so far. Ryan's not very happy with it. Give us your side of the story.
I understand why he's not happy. I just happened to be in the way when he wanted to do his lap, but I happened to be doing my lap too. I cannot disappear when it's 1 minute to go. We're all trying to do the best. We just end up being at the same place, and he was the one behind. He was the one that could have just waited a little, and that's when that lap I had already slowed down, so I tried to move away and let him pass, let him finish the lap, and then he's still upset. So I guess he didn't have as good as a lap. He's not able to finish it. But anyway, I understand his frustration. I also got frustrated because I thought we had a better car. We did earlier, and we just couldn't put it together. It's tough competition. We're all trying that hard that when you cannot advance, you know, you start the blaming game. What are you going to do, disappear? I was there.
Still pretty good car for Oriol Servia. He's got an opportunity to be racy tomorrow.
All right, Oriol Servia did not make the transfer, so he will start in 8th position tomorrow. Starting in 7th spot will be the driver that he had the issue with, Ryan Hunter-Reay. Helio Castro-Neves will start 9th, James Hinchcliffe 10th, Canan and Bourdais the 11th and 12th starters, and then those who did not transfer into group number 2. At the back of the field, we will see Kimball, Patrick, Beatrice, Hildebrand, Tracy, and Sebastian Saavedra. We'll be back with more from Edmonton, Alberta in just a moment. Stay with us.
Really disappointed in Dario. I always race him clean, and he always races me dirty.
Will didn't give me room. He's pissed off, and he's going to be coming hard.
We are just about ready for the Firestone Fast 6 to set the field tomorrow for the Edmonton Indy. Thanks for joining us for peak pole qualifying on Versus. I'm Kevin Lee. We'll power the quickest in the first 2 segments as we get set for the Firestone Fast 6, and we've already seen more emotion here this weekend, and certainly we had plenty of it in Toronto.
Stupid moves, silly moves, that's what happens, and very disappointed. I didn't expect that from Ryan. He's a guy that runs in the front all the time, so very, very disappointed.
I wasn't going to pull over for anybody today, and I'm really, really ticked, and I'm trying to control my emotions, but, you know, that's not like Hunter-Reay, but I guess some people strap on their helmet and lose their brain.
I went in turn 5, and yeah, it was tight, but I was beside him, so we touch, and when wheels touch in IndyCar, everything goes up in the air.
And we'll certainly follow up and wrap up these stories if they can be wrapped up. But I think there's a decent chance that these stories continue and they are added to this weekend. IndyCar Central presented by Verizon. 2 Eastern coming up tomorrow. We'll talk not only about Franchitti and Power, but also Power and Tagliani. Helio Castro-Neves will look back to his race last year and his feelings as he returns to a race that he still feel like he won last year. We followed Justin Wilson around at Toronto. We'll get to that. And another grid run with Robin Miller. This week he's going solo. So that and much more coming up tomorrow at 2:53 Eastern. Green flag for the Edmonton Indy. And Bob, we're about to find out how they're going to line up in the Fast 6 coming up tomorrow. We're just about ready to go.
And have that peak pole position for tomorrow's event. Clock just about ready to start for the 10-minute session, and here are the drivers who are going to be in the Firestone Fast Six. Winding up sixth fastest in round number 2 was E.J. Viso. Ryan Briscoe will also be in this session. Takuma Sato won the pole at Iowa. Scott Dixon going for his 16th pole. Dario Franchitti and Will Power looking for his 9th consecutive pole position and Power's 19th consecutive time in the Firestone Fast Six. That is every race since he started driving for Team Penske at the beginning of the 2009 season. So Will Power has been in every one of the Firestone Fast Sixes since he started driving for Roger.
I think he wants this pole probably as bad as any pole too. You know, just to get the confidence back going again.
Down to Lindy.
Not only did KB Racing set a record for themselves in round 2 because they've never had 3 cars in it, they did it again for this round because they've never had 2. E.J. Viso, his best finish or his start on a road course was 4th. He's obviously hoping to up that today. They did a tire pressure adjustment on his car. As for Sato, still no changes. He's happy, Robbie.
For the Target Chip Ganassi crew, they've never not qualified in the top 6. Either Scott Dixon or Dario Franchitti. Went down to talk to Chris Simmons just a moment ago. He said, Dario's loose. When I come down to the number 9 and talk to Mike Hull, he said, well, we haven't made hardly any changes all day long. Maybe a half a turn of front wing. That's it. He said the key is going to be how much balance can you get that one good lap out of these used tires. Used tires and a solid single lap.
Scott Dixon goes out. Ryan Briscoe gets right in front of him. 2 Penske's in the Firestone Fast Six. Will Power seated here on pit lane, and they've just fired his car. So Power going back out, trying to win a pole on a non-oval for the 9th consecutive race. Like everyone, he's going to be on the scuffed reds. So the question is, how much life remains on those scuffed reds, which are significantly quicker than the primary black tires?
Clear. There's nobody behind it.
Here's some career numbers for the Firestone Fast Six driver. Scott Dixon, this is his 28th appearance in the Fast Six, and that ties him with Elio Castroneves for the most time since the program began in 2005. Dario Franchitti just 2 behind.
And Kevin brings up a very good point when you go out on scuffed reds, Wally, because that means they've had a heat cycle. These are the rules, of course. You got 10 minutes for this session, and you only are allowed to use 1 set of tires, and what he's referring to is you only get 2 sets for all 3. So Will Power is on a used set, and after they've had a heat cycle, they don't react the same way.
Right. They've gotten the best out of them already in the last couple of sessions. So yeah, you're right. You probably, well, I think you're looking at 1 or 2 good laps on these tires, and I think really after you put the heat cycles on them, I think it's early too. When you go back on a set of tires, I think it's the 1st or 2nd lap you're going to be looking at.
This happened to Dario just moments ago.
Across the bumpy section.
Ooh, in the grass.
Yeah. And you can see how much water.
Yeah.
There's so much water
man.
in that grass.
Did it rain here yesterday or what? No on-track activity at all yesterday. And, of course, it was very important for the drivers because when they went on the track earlier today for practice, it was the very first time that they had been on this particular configuration.
Speaking to that heat cycle issue, Bob, is that I think that's one of Will Power's secrets, is that he only pushes as hard as he needs to in the first couple of sessions and always tries to hold something back, so he has a little bit in reserve when it comes to this final group.
And I think if you're trying to explain exactly what that tire does, you'd almost say it makes the tire a little bit harder, you know, after you put a heat cycle on it. It's not as sticky, it's not a soft feeling once you've got a couple of laps on it.
Franchitti has moved to the top. We're following E.J. Viso, who got knocked off the top spot. E.J. has never had a pole position. In fact, his best start in his IZOD IndyCar Series career was 4th at Long Beach in 2009.
You can hear those front tires as he gets in there. You have so much steering lock, and we said before, that's 37, 38 miles an hour. You're asking that whole car just to kind of hear him just screeching across.
Sato. Viso's teammate just went to the top. Will Power has finally turned in a lap. He's 5th. Here comes Viso down the long straightaway.
78.7, your P3.
All right. Into corner number 13 and across the timing line. He will stay in 3rd.
Work at turn one, but watch the dotted line.
Here's Takuma, fastest so far in this session.
And he has a better lap going, Bob, right now. 2/10 up on what he had done previously.
1 pole in his IZOD IndyCar Series career. That was just a few weeks ago in Iowa. His best start here in Edmonton was 13th last year.
Had a bit of push. That was in turn 12. Yeah, he had 2/10. Now he has 1/10. Improvement from his best lap. See what he does in the final corner.
Power up to 2nd quick in his 2nd lap.
So Sato went quicker, but of course he was already at the top of the charts.
How's Power's lap look on this one, Jan? Because it looks like he's running pretty good. Been watching the IndyCar.
I think he's still gapping.
Wow.
That doesn't mean at the end of this lap he's not going to spool it up. But yeah, he's backing off now. Just giving himself some space.
78.5 right now. 78.5, Sato, P1. Got 3 minutes left. 3 minutes.
So Tim Cindric gives him the lay of the land. And so what he'll do coming off of this turn 12 here, he'll still kind of just take it easy on the tires, build some temperature and pressure, and then Tim Cindric reminding him, get a good drive off of this final turn 13 to start a fast one.
Dixon has moved between Sato, quickest, and Power.
So here you go.
Here we go. Three-time pole sitter here at Edmonton in 2007, 2009, and last year. He also won the race in 2009. Scott Dixon won the race last year.
See how he gets on the brakes here.
He may have been a little behind on that one.
Little rev limiter, that's good. Oh, look at that. Just a nice, constant slide through there. That was awesome.
Gonna know shortly. It's down to 5th currently with 1.5 minutes to go.
And Sato behind him has an even faster lap. Let's see how he gets through this.
Does he advance?
Pretty good.
Oh, only up to 2nd.
1 lap, maybe 2.
Sato still quickest.
That should be a slight improvement.
All right, bud, last lap, let's go. Your P1, last lap.
Jimmy Vasser, come on. When they say watch the white line, that's the white line they're referring to. You can't get your right wheels over that in turn 1.
Dario getting ready to finish a lap.
Only shown 3rd. I say only. We're used to Dario.
And he's going to stay 3rd. But he'll have another lap. Now here's Scott Dixon, currently 5th. Headed for turn 13.
That's how they really cross up their arms here in this corner.
Yeah, just total lock. Dixon, does he advance?
He'll get this lap, last lap.
Nope.
Quick time still 2/10 quicker than you.
Just Just about ready to see the checkered flag in this final Firestone.
Oh, he locks it up. He gets wide. That's not going to work.
You're right. He stays second. He will have another lap, though. This was earlier on his lap.
Oh, yeah. Front and rear, both. Sparks. Now, Dario had a great beginning of the lap, but something has happened mid-lap to Dario. He had the beginning of the first 4 or 5 corners. He had splits that could take him to the pole, but something has happened mid-lap. He's slipping back.
That's Dario's final lap. Here comes Viso. Sato still quick. He's already in the pits. And here is Scott Dixon. He's currently 5th.
Oh, he went in there hot.
Oh, yeah, you can hear the rear brakes locking.
There's a checker flag.
And he will move to 3rd. Power and Briscoe still on track. Briscoe is in. And now will do it? Did he do it? No, he did not. It's Takuma Sato who wins another pole, his 2nd career, and his 2nd pole in the last 3 races. And he breaks Will Power's string of 8 consecutive poles on a road or street course. So the streak is broken, and the man who did it, Takuma Sato from KV Racing Technology.
Wow. And if there's ever a place you want to be on the pole and be on the left for turn 1, this is it. Kevin Kalkoven, team owner. Way to go.
Now has a pole on an oval, and congratulations also from teammate Tony Kanaan, who will start 11th tomorrow in the Edmonton Indy. Sato with a pole on an oval and now on a street and or road course. So the streak is stopped. Takuma Sato earns the pole. Will Power 2nd quick. Scott Dixon will start 3rd. Then Dario Franchitti. E.J. Viso will line up 5th. And Ryan Briscoe will start on the outside of row number 3. We'll be back to talk to Sato, the pole winner, when we return. When he found out that Will Power's last lap would fall short of knocking him off the pole, Takuma Sato got it. And here's Lindy Thaxton.
And he said that his Iowa pole was special. You said this one was stunning. Why is that?
Well, simply because the Iowa pole was the very first pole on my in my American racing, of course, and something waiting for a long time. But road course is that I really love, and I feel home. I mean, this morning we only had a session and we go to the qualifier, so we had a big opportunity to try to challenge some of the top teams, and I had a really good feeling.
Brand new course. How did you adapt to this so quickly, having just 1 day?
I think up until this level of the formula, you know, with everyone driving an IndyCar, you can learn the circuit 10 laps, 20 laps. And then the question is how you set up the car. And then again, you know, and Tony and EJ, and we're working so closely to build the car to go faster. And I was confident that to do the job. Second qualifier was maybe we're asking too much on the car, but then come back on the 3rd one, and I'm so happy to have a pole.
You've won a couple poles. You ready to win one of these races now, or what?
Well, my best place is the 5th place only, so I will try to get on the podium. If I had a great opportunity, of course, I will go for it to win.
And Kevin, you've got the bike guy Takuma Sato beat with you, right?
And it's been a long time since somebody started up front other than Will Power on a non-oval. You knew it wasn't going to last forever. How do you feel about how? Did you get everything out of it you could have in this session?
I think in the first 2 we definitely did. I just brushed that bloody wall in the 2nd session, but to me Sato was very quick anyway. You know, he was doing a bloody good job. It was going to be tough to beat, but yeah, put ourselves on the back foot there, but it was still good to start 2nd on the front row and man, I just want to have a good, clean race tomorrow.
You still had one more lap after you brushed the wall, but the car wasn't the same after that.
No, I tried my best with the car bent, but it just, it was, you know, I think the tires were done as well. You know, I think, yeah, Sato definitely put a good lap down early. But yeah, that was that's the beauty of qualifying, man. You just lay it all, you just give it absolutely everything you got, and that's what I love.
Still a good starting position for Will Power. He'll be on the front row trying to win here for the second time. Robbie?
Well, two-time winner here at Edmonton and still looking for his first victory this year is Scott Dixon. And Scott, how did that final qualifying session go for you?
Well, I think the whole qualifying was tough. You know, it's a tough place to manage, sort of, you know, getting a lap together. It's so you know, little bits of bumps here. You lock up a tire, you know, then it, you know, gets you in the next corner, all the big braking zones, and then especially the midsection, turn 11 has just been a pain in the butt for me this weekend. I think I'm losing a tenth or two there every lap, but you know, it's a great circuit. I think it's going to be great for the fans. You know, it's going to be exciting, especially with turn 1 and turn 13, and obviously turn 5 too. So looking forward to it, and hopefully we have a bit of luck. Maybe Target Canada can bring us a little bit of luck for this weekend.
You've won on the old track, now the new one. Which one do you like better?
Well, I've got to favour the old one, you know, until maybe we get a win here at the new one. You know, I think that the layout of the old one was extremely tough. You really had to manhandle it and muscle it around. It was physically very draining. Here's very technical as far as braking and, you know, getting the roll through the middle of the corner and things like that. So they're two totally different circuits. You know, some of the section there is from last year, but a very small part of it.
Bob, without even prompting him, he said that I can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be really exciting for the fans.
Yeah, I think you're right. With all the good passing zones, it should be very, very interesting. Scott will start next to his Target Chip Ganassi teammate in the second row. E.J. Viso has his best start since 2009 in Long Beach, where he started 4th. And James Hinchcliffe has his 4th top 10 start of 2011. And back in 11th position will be Sato's teammate, Tony Kanaan. Sebastian Bourdais was not quick in the practices, but as you indicated, Jan, he seems to be a good qualifier.
He has the ability to lay down a quick lap, but I think that 12th is all he can get out of that Dale Coyne entry.
Marco Andretti, the winner at Iowa, starts in the back of the field, as does Kimball, Patrick, Beatrice, Hildebrand, Tracy, and Sebastian Saavedra. So that's the way they will line up for tomorrow's Edmonton Indy. Takuma Sato wins, getting congratulations from Scott Dixon. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in a moment.
IZOD IndyCar qualifying on Versus is presented by Peak Performance Products. When you peak, you win.
The streak is broken. Will Power will not start on the pole in tomorrow's Edmonton Indy. That honor has gone to Takuma Sato, winning his first pole on a road and street course. Starting in 4th position on the outside of the second row will be Dario Franchitti, and Kevin is with him.
And he'll be looking to win for a second straight time for the first time in 4 years. Did you get all you could out of this qualifying session, or was there a little bit more still left?
There was probably more if you piece a lap together, but trying to do a complete lap was tough, man. I think Scott probably said it too, and I think everybody's suffering with the same thing. It's a big compromise between corners here, and we're just not where we need to be yet with either Target car. So in fact, we're 3rd and 4th, pretty good. We figure it out tomorrow and tonight and get one little problem fixed. I think we'll be looking good. But congratulations, Taku. That was pretty impressive there.
How do you like this new course layout?
Coming to terms with it, it's interesting. You know, those heavy braking zones, sometimes you brake there and you think, oh man, I could have taken a little bit more there, and you try and take a little bit more, and the next thing you miss the corner by a mile. So it's very difficult, and it's difficult to attack it. It's not a track that likes to be attacked, I would say, right now. You got to kind of just bring it back a little bit, and as I say, a lot of compromises. You get the car working in one corner, it sucks in another. So it's same for everybody, and we just got to figure it out.
In row 2, you have your teammate on the inside, Scott Dixon, and then the other championship contender, Will Power, will be right in front of you. What do you expect going into turn 1 at the start of this race?
I think it's going to be very interesting getting through turn 1 on that first lap. Big long straight there, difficult braking zone, tight corner at the end of it. So hopefully we'll behave and we can all get through there and carry on with the rest of the race.
All right, Dario Franchitti will start 4th, Lindy.
And E.J. Viso rolls off the truck strong with that car, had a good day, and then all of a sudden you tell me in round 2 you don't think you're going to make it out. What happened there?
Well, yeah, as you said, we've been very strong as a team since the first laps in this track. I think
our car was very suited to the place. I need to congratulate everyone in Edmonton. You guys put a great track. It's a great place. It's going to be good for the fans, a lot of places to overtake. And yeah, we just went to the track and we knew we were going to do good here. Yes, as I was telling you, in qualifying 2 in the Q2, you know, one of those times where the grid is so tight and you only need 1/10 and a half. And in my fast lap, I just did a big mistake that I thought I was not going to make it, but it was just in the line, and I did make it. Then in Q3, the car number 5, Takuma Sato, my teammate, he's in pole. Congratulations to them. They did a great job. I think they found something in the fast complex that we couldn't find, and we've been struggling a little bit there. But other than that, I'm very grateful, and congratulations to whole KB Racing. We've been working as a real team. I think the drivers, we're over there, we're sharing information, we're helping each other. The engineers are working in a great way, and this is a way of doing it. Thank you at the same time to all my sponsors. IndyCar series is getting every time stronger, and thank you.
And new track or not, EJ always seems to do pretty well at Edmonton, Robbie.
Well, I'm with Ryan Briscoe, a former pole sitter here. You smiled a minute ago and said this track's nothing like the old track.
Yeah, no, there are 2 corners, but the rest of it, I mean, this is a lot more stop and go. Really excited to make it into the Fast 6 today in the Penske truck rental car. We'll be starting up the front and hopefully move forward from there in the race, but it's definitely going to be an exciting one.
Bob, all 3 Penske's in the top 10. Ryan Briscoe starts 6th.
Interesting lineup for tomorrow's race, and on the street and road courses so far this year. There you see the pole winners with Power streak being broken here today. Franchitti winning 2, Power 2, Conway 1. Will there be a new winner tomorrow here at Edmonton? We will be here, and we hope that you will also be here with us tomorrow afternoon on Versus. That's going to wrap it up from here. It's supposed to be sunny and much warmer tomorrow, so that will be a bit of a change also for our weekend. Heads Up Poker coming up next. Stage number 21 of the Tour de France continues tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 2 Eastern for the Edmonton Indy. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, go to NBCSports.com. For Jan Bikas, Wally Donovac, Robbie Floyd, Kevin Lee, Lindy Thaxton, and Robin Miller. I'm Bob Jenkins. We'll see you at 2 o'clock Eastern tomorrow here in Edmonton.